Well, as we shared during the start of the show, the latest consumer price index shows inflation continues to increase. But what impact does it have on decision making? Here's John Phipps this Easter weekend.
The jaw-dropping inflation rates of the last 6 months or so have turned all those amateur epidemiologists into amateur economists. It has also finally given inflation hawks their chance to say, "Told you so," and they did. For about the last 30 years. Inflation predictions were so wrong for so long, the real thing has flummoxed us entirely. The other problem with this abrupt price change is the number of things there are to blame. The pandemic, which threatened to close down entire economies, which made governments provide payments to avoid an outright depression, which consumers saved more than expected, which made the decline of COVID a green flag for massive pent-up spending on goods that could not be produced during the shutdowns, which became the missing links in a surprisingly fragile supply chain, making many products even scarcer and harder to get to consumers because of the oil that wasn't produced and the truckers who left for better jobs. And of course, a war. Kind of makes me miss the old inflation when I was young, where a bunch of oil producers simply cut back production, and that alone triggered skyrocketing prices. Economists have long believed, however, that while these kind of events do create inflation, our expectations for the futures sustain inflation. If we think prices will keep zooming up, our natural reaction is to buy it now at any price, making demand pressure even greater. For that matter, if that is our view on the future, better stock up on stuff we will need. So we've gone from a just-in-time to just-in-case. With this positive feedback loop in high gear, where high prices make us anticipate even higher prices, what would have to happen to break this cycle? One thing is higher interest rates to slow spending, and that looks to be certain in our future. But the historic inflation killer has been a recession. This is why you are seeing more below-the-fold stories about recession predictions. Now it could get really interesting. If people shift the focus of their fear from inflation to recession, the resulting behavior changes could lessen the severity of inflation and the likelihood of recession. We're struggling through unprecedented, simultaneous economic and international calamities, and how we weather them will depend a lot on how we think we will weather them.
Thank you, John. Up next, Machinery Pete has tractor tales this week. Stay with us.
Find farm equipment on Machinery Pete's April 19th online auction. No reserve, no buyer fees. Start bidding now at auctions.machinery.